This is fireweed, one of our high priority weeds that we need to eradicate from our council. Predominantly found along the south coast areas. One of the key ways of identifying it is the flower's roughly about the size of a 5-cent piece. It has a constant 13 petals. It's 30 centimetres high. Sometimes you might only see one little stem coming out. The leaves are slightly toothed. It can be confused with some of the native plants, which are also in the same family as this, which is Senecio. It's really important that we find fireweed and control it. We have very limited distribution, one main infestation now at the Queanbeyan Township. We don't want this plant establishing, as it will have a real significant impact on the agricultural and environmental areas. Down in some areas along the coast there, it's literally taken over paddocks and it's out competing the pasture grasses. It has a significant impact on the dairy industry as well as other native areas. Within the Queanbeyan-Palerang Regional Council area, we started off roughly around 30 infestations, finding the odd plant along some of our major roads and properties. Most of these can be traced from vehicles coming up from the coastal areas with fireweed on them. We've had roughly 30 sites where we've eradicated it from, and we're continuously monitoring those sites. The main infestation we're eradicating from is Queanbeyan Township. We find fireweed through our inspection programs on private land and public land, and also through our high-risk pathway inspection program, where we're going through sites looking at our major roads, those rest areas, and just a general surveillance around our urban areas. Fireweed spread mainly from the windborne seeds. They're quite fluffy. The seeds normally drop within a few metres of the plant, but it can go greater distances. The main ways it can come into our council area is through fodder like hay, as well as livestock and vehicles. When we find fireweed, it's generally just one plant. If we don't detect this plant early enough, then that plant will seed, produce more plants, which then becomes much harder to eradicate. This year we've received some grant funding for the Weeds Action Program to do an intensive survey and monitoring of fireweed and control. As part of that program, we'll be doing an educational program for the Queanbeyan Township area to enable residents to be able to identify those plants. We're also going back to all the public land within the Queanbeyan Township every couple of weeks, checking for any new infestations and controlling any plants that we find. Within the Queanbeyan Township at the moment, there's probably 4 main sites. On 3 of those sites, we just find 1 or 2 plants. The main site, we started off finding around 100 plants at the time. We're now down to finding just 20 to 30 plants, but this could also be because we're just coming out of the drought. This is a real success story for council. We've been able to keep fireweed out of our council area. If you think you see a fireweed, so that yellow flower with 13 petals, please contact council.